Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another early impression. So today we're going to talk about a Meleg perfume, and Meleg's is basically a indie house. They're a house that you can kind of put up there with Arige Ladore, with Russian Adams Arige Ladore brand, or Bortnikov, or Peter Carter's Centauri Perfumes, or something along those lines. I would consider them an indie house. And I'll read you a little bit about Meleg and his story and all that good stuff. But first, so this is the sample, and I do owe a very big thank you to Nissan from Canada. Thank you very much for sending me these, my friend. I believe he's in Canada anyways. He goes by the YouTube handle, I think it's like Kavik Zip or something along those lines. But thank you very much, Nissan. I very much appreciate it. And these are the type of things that kind of let the channel continue to talk about new and different things I'd never otherwise get my nose on. So this is a big help. And as you can see, I've pretty much drained this sample. It is my scent of the day today. I've been wearing it for the last 8 hours or so. And so I think I understand the fragrance pretty well. I've got a good grasp on what it is. But before we get into that, we're actually going to do some unboxings. And all of these unboxings were sent to me by you guys. So thank you very much. This is the first one. The first of 3, actually. And this is a box that actually came today, and the note is from Peter Carter from Centauri Perfumes. So here, let me just show you his brand. He said he got this sent to him for review from the brand, and so he's passing it on. He did decant some, and so he decanted some to some of his subscribers. And as soon as I saw I opened this box already, but as soon as I saw the Acqua di Parma wrapping paper, I was like, okay, let me stop, because I didn't know this was a fragrance at first. So let's do this. Let's get this Acqua di Parma wrapping paper out of the way, and let's see what we have here. So this is a eau de parfum from Digit and Zach. Very strange name. It's a 30 ml bottle. It's actually this is the first full bottle of Digit and Zach's I've ever actually held. I've got a sample that I have yet to even smell, but this is called Emperor's Court. So again, Peter of Centauri Perfumes, big shout out to you. Thank you very much. I still have many of your fragrances that I have to get to on the channel, so hopefully very soon I will be able to do that. But let's open this up. I'm excited to see what these bottles look like. Ah, very nice. Okay, so there's the presentation. And I don't know how much these run, but let's see. Made in India. Very interesting. So they're an Indian brand. Smells like a little bit of oud from the atomizer. Let's see what the notes say, just because I'm curious. Oh, actually, Peter wrote them right here. Wow, this is a big note listing. Holy moly. Bergamot, rose, Bulgarian rose, jasmine from North India. Jasmine from North India. Usually you'll see like jasmine grandiflorum or jasmine sambac, but jasmine from India, North India, is a very interesting note. Jasmine from Egypt, ylang ylang, Turkish rose, Indian spices, oak moss, onchayas shells, pandanus, fossilized amber, saffron, tobacco, frankincense, patchouli, myrrh, labdanum, apopanax, East Indian sandalwood, benzoin, aged Assam oud, Cambodian oud, Thailand oud. So usually whenever you smell a perfume from the atomizer like this, it's the base notes that you're getting. You're not smelling the top notes, you're smelling the base. And so oud is usually a heavier note. It usually does act as a base. Vintage Lao oud. So there's 4 types of oud in here. Very interesting. Vanilla musk, which is a mixture of synthetic musk and real deer musk. Civet castoreum, real brown, white, and silver ambergris. Wow. Amazing little breakdown. And I know this is a quality brand. So this will be more than enough to get to know, wear, talk about on the channel. So this is exciting stuff. Let's see what the Emperor's Court came out 2021, so it's a couple years old. They classify it as a resinous floral, and apparently that North Indian jasmine, or maybe it's the Egyptian jasmine, is known as jasmine auriculatum. Jasmine auriculatum. That's the North Indian jasmine, because Egyptian jasmine is literally called Egyptian jasmine. Even I can figure that one out. Okay, good stuff. Thank you very much, Peter. Seriously. Again, more stuff to get to talk about on the channel, and this smells like quality juice. So this is good. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Nice little packaging too. It sits very snug in its little box. Okay, so where are you gonna live? Where are you gonna live? You can live right here for now. Okay, so let's see what else we got. So I think this guy's okay with me mentioning his name on the channel. So Daver actually sent me this. I don't think he wants to remain a perfume god person. I think he can be shouted out too, so very much appreciated. Thank you, Daver. Nice. Thank you. Nice little note there. Let's see what he sent me. Two notes from two amazing people. I feel like it's a special day today. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh no. I see a leak. Precious juice. Precious juice is a wasting. See how much juice was a wasting. Oh, all right, let's see. See what we got here. Hang on one second. I might have to perform surgery. Sit you upright. Let's sit you upright. All right, let's see what we got. Oh no. I think the liquid might have rubbed off what was written on here. I can see kerosene. Yeah, I can't read that. Virtu. I can read Virtu. Or Virtus, sorry. I can read Virtus. Let me see which one this is. Virtus. Sorry, I'm trying to read this. It's rubbed off. Let's see. What are you? You must be Monarch. Yeah, it must be Monarch. Virtus Monarch. I'm not familiar with this brand, Virtus. Pepper, juniper, lemon, jasmine, clove, cypress, woody notes, moss, balsamic notes, and musk. I don't know when these came out. I have no clue how much they cost. So I'm kind of going in blind here. Kerosene. Let's see. Kerosene. Again, I'm trying to guess which one this is. Kerosene. Let's see. Kerosene. This must be Unknown Pleasures. Must be. It's the only thing that the couple letters that I can read make sense on. I'm going to take a guess and say it's Unknown Pleasures. Let's see what else we got here. Which one of you cheeky bastards leaked on me? Okay, so this next one is Virtus. Oof. Hang on, let's see if I can. Virtus. Let's see. This is like playing a word game. Let's see. CH. This must be. I'm guessing that this is Soul Patchouli. Yeah, this must be Soul Patchouli. It's the only thing where the letters I can read make sense on. I'm just marking them so I know what they are for later. I think this is Oud Noir by Virtus. I think that's what that says. Please let there be an Oud Noir. There is. Okay, that one I can read. Spicy woody with castoreum and oud. Nice. My kind of scent right there. And we've got. Uh-oh. This one I can't even make out at all. I'm going to have to circle back to him on this one. All right, cool. Let me put these away. Thank you, Daver. Sorry they leaked, man. But I will be able to get. I'll shoot you an email and see which ones. Which ones. What's the one that I can't read, and if I did guess properly on the others. But thank you. I will very soon get around to those. If you do send me something, please be patient. Just because there's so much I want to get to. But I promise I will get to it. If you're kind enough to send me something, I promise it will be on the list. Like Nissan sent me these a long time ago, and I still have a bunch of them to get through. So yes, I very much appreciate your patience. And there's one more. And this is actually the big one, because I kind of have an idea of what this is. It was sent by Allie, so thank you, Allie. She is newer to the fragrance world, but I know that Amouage is a brand that she was really taken with. And when I started my Amouage collecting, I pretty much only collected the masculines. So I ignored many of the feminine targeted fragrances to my very cool. Cool packaging with the rice. To my detriment, because there's so many amazing feminine targeted Amouage scents. And so she basically sent me the ones that I have never smelled before or talked about on the channel. I did some videos on some of the Amouage feminine targeted scents recently. Like, for example, I did a video on Imitation Woman, which I absolutely loved. Like, I loved it so much I would buy a bottle of that stuff. Wow, she really packed this really well. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. This is exciting. All right, I'm going to have to cut into this. Look at this. Look how perfectly packaged that is. Okay, let's see what we got here. You get the handy dandy unboxing knife. Sorry, I'm performing surgery here. She really packed this good. I don't know if I'm going to be able to open this on the video. It's just going to be like 5 minutes of me struggling to open this. It's a good thing my knife is sharp. Okay, here we go. Starting to come out now. So the first one, I'm so excited to learn about these. All these Amouages I never got to know before. So the first one that I pulled out just randomly is, I think, one of Christopher Chong's last perfume creations. and it's actually called Crimson Rocks. Are you guys familiar with Crimson Rocks? And I don't know about versions, though. I don't know if this is the vintage version or if this is the, if this is the more modern version. I have no idea. But it came out in 2020, and it's a unisex targeted release. It's Pink Pepper CO2, Cinnamon Essential, Rose Ultimate Extract, Jujube Honey, very specific type of honey, Oakwood CO2, Atlas Cedar, and Vetiver. And Domitel Michelon Berthier is the perfumer. I'm sure I butchered that. I'm sure French people's ears everywhere are bleeding. But yes. So Crimson Rocks, I'm very excited to get to smell and talk about on the channel. And then we've got Bracken Woman. So you guys know I love Bracken Man. It's one of my favorite fougères with there's a lot of clove in Bracken Man. Bracken Woman was also a 2016 release, and I don't know who the perfumer is, but it's Bracken, Wild Berries, Lily, Narcissus, Chamomile, Leather, Patchouli, Vetiver, and Birch. So speaking of Birch, Birch is going to play a big part of the Russian leather fragrance we're going to talk about today. But excited to talk about Bracken Woman. And then we've got Beloved Woman. And Beloved Woman, you guys know how much I love Beloved Man. I think it's one of the most underrated Amouage fragrances. Beloved Man is so good. It's got that elemi with grapefruit in the top and vetiver in the dry down. Beautiful, posh. One of the Amouages you can really even wear in the heat. But Beloved Woman is 2012. So Beloved Woman actually came out first. Beloved Woman came out in 2012, and then they released Beloved Man in 2013. It's clove blossom, jasmine, chamomile, cardamom, lavender, clary sage, rose, benzoin, patchouli, everlasting flower, violet, frankincense, ylang ylang, cistus, amber, castoreum, caramel, leather, musk, sandalwood, vanilla, cedarwood, civet. Heck of a note listing right there. It looks more challenging than the men's version. So that's good stuff. I'm excited to try that. All right, let's see what else we got here. So we've got this Meleg early impression video is turning into an unboxing. Maybe I should have done a separate unboxing video. Oh well, we'll just blend them together. Let me pull the rest of these out real quick. Thank you to everyone who sent me something. I mean, I spend a lot on this hobby anyways, but this just allows me to kind of get my nose on so many more things than I would otherwise. So thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. So we talked about here's Ubar. I've yet to talk about Ubar on the channel, which apparently this is kind of a Amouage take on an aldehydic floral. And there were two versions of Ubar, one from 95 and one from 2009. Pretty sure this is a 2009 version. So it's kind of like this floral, oriental, aldehydic floral. It's got Litsea cubiba, which I mentioned before as a note that kind of drags on that citrus opening. It's some sort of a bush that I think has these little white flowers on them, and when it's used in a composition, it makes the citrus notes seem like they last forever, because usually citrus notes are very volatile and they just kind of evaporate off of your skin very quickly. So here it kind of keeps the mandarin orange and the orange going with violet leaf, freesia, jasmine, lily of the valley, orange blossom, rosewood, tuberose, ylang ylang, copiba balsam, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla, vetiver, and amber. And so Ubar I'm very excited to talk about on the channel. Thank you very much. And then we've got Journey Woman. And again, same thing. You guys know how much I love Journey Man. Journey Man is all about Nagamatha oil, cypriol, From memory, I think there is a Sichuan pepper note, one of the best Sichuan pepper notes I've ever smelled. But you want to talk about a fragrance that really screams Nagamata or Cypriol oil, and this is it. Journey Man, and I think it was a Alberto Morias and Pierre Negrin creation. So Journey Woman. Let's see what Journey Woman's all about. Journey Woman. Okay, 2014. It's also an Alberto Morias and Pierre Negrin. So they created both of them. Very interesting. And this is a spicy sweet fragrance, it says. With apricot, jasmine tea, osmanthus. I love osmanthus. Such a beautiful note. Nutmeg, cardamom, jasmine sambac, mimosa honey, cedarwood, pipe tobacco, saffron, vanilla, cypriol, and musk. Sounds really good, actually. There's also a tobacco note in Journey Man. Really good tobacco note in Journey Man. And then we've got Sunshine Woman. I'm not even going to pull Sunshine Man out, but you can see it right there. One of my favorite takes on lavender. It's so modern. It's got that lavender with Immortelle. And there's this orange brandy note. It actually made very high on my favorite fragrances with the note of booze, alcohol in them, because this has this very interesting orange brandy note in the top. And yeah, go check out that ranked video if you haven't watched that yet. So Sunshine Woman is, let's see what the note listing on Sunshine Woman is. Sunshine Woman 2014. It also came out a year earlier than the man's version, interestingly enough. It's a sweet, fruity fragrance done by Sidonie Lancesseur of Robertet. I've never heard of her before, or him. It's almond, blackcurrant liqueur, Divana, osmanthus, jasmine, vanilla, magnolia, Canary Islands, juniper, patchouli, papyrus, and blonde tobacco. Always make sure your tobaccos are blonde. But blackcurrant liqueur, very interesting. I wonder if this could also have made my boozy list, because I know blackcurrant, but blackcurrant liqueur, is that technically a booze? It sounds like it. I don't think I've ever heard of blackcurrant liqueur. I've heard of blackcurrant pie. Blackcurrant liqueur, very interesting. Okay, and then we have Honor 43. Ah, beautiful. I don't think, is there regular Honor in here? No, I've never smelled the regular Honor Woman. I have about 50 mils of 2 mil decants of Honor Man that I got for super cheap. And, someone sold them in bulk, so they must have worked for somewhere that had a bunch of samples and they sold them on eBay. And I got them for a steal. But Honor Man is a very interesting peppery. It's probably one of my favorite pepper-heavy fragrances. Pepper's a very hard note for me to want to pay big money for. Very, very rarely are you going to see people dole out big money for pepper. You dole out big money for tobacco or leather or oud or stuff like that. But pepper is kind of one of those fragrances it's hard to get excited about. But Honor Man is a very well done, peppery, elemy fragrance. And so I'm excited to see what Honor 43 is all about. Honor 43 is one of those, what do they call them? Extreme concentration versions that Amouage came out with, over the last couple of years since the fish guy took over. And, they're charging double the price of what the regular Honor used to sell for. So Honor 43 is a creamy white floral. It was done by Alexandra Carlin. And this is pepper, rhubarb leaf, coriander, jasmine, tuberose, gardenia, lily of the valley, carnation, sandalwood, labdanum, vetiver, frankincense, apopanax, and leather. So usually white florals are a no-no for me, or at least just clearly white floral fragrances are tough for me to wear. But I will be fair, and I'll give Honor 43 its dues, its chance. But my guess is that might be my least favorite of the bunch, but we will see how that plays out. Okay, so next we have Myth's Woman. And you guys know how much I love Myth's Man. So Mitts Man, I talk about all the time as one of the most, I guess, artistic fragrances I've ever smelled, with that chrysanthemum rum. This also made my boozy fragrances list. I wish I had a 100 ml bottle instead of 50 ml of this. You can see I've made quite the dent in it already. I love Mitts Man. I think it's totally underrated. It feels like the same way Interlude feels, not in smell, but in feel. You know how Interlude, the Blue Beast, has that thick, smoky, resinous feel to the fragrance. Mitts Man has that same feel, but it's a little bit more challenging, I think, believe it or not, to some people, because it's got that strange combination with ash. And not like frankincense, but I mean literal ash, like volcanic ash. It's a very, very good fragrance, though, if you like complex, challenging fragrances that transition a lot. So Mitts Woman, I'm really interested to get to know. Mitts Woman was done by Nathalie Lorson, one of my favorite perfumers. This is Narcissus, Violet Leaf, Galbanum, Carnation, Patchouli, Ambergris, Leather, Moss, and Musk. So, sounds like an amazing fragrance just from the note listing. And I love Nathalie Lorson's work. I think she's one of the most underrated perfumers in all of perfume. So I wish someone like Frederick Malle would do a fragrance with her, or I wish she would be in-house perfumer of Dior instead of Francis K. But that's how it goes. Okay, so next is Figment Woman, and you guys know how much I was talking about how much I love Figment Man recently, and Figment Man is very challenging. It's got, or I think it is anyways, historically challenging. Maybe not to everyone, but Figment Man has that animalic civet with earthy tones. So Figment Woman was done by Dorothy Pio and Karine Vinchon Spanner, and Sichuan pepper, saffron, gardenia, tuberose, jasmine sambac, orange blossom, ylang ylang, cassia, iris, papyrus, patchouli, and frankincense. Very interesting note listing. So we'll see how Figment Woman works out. And then we've got Interlude Woman. Very interesting, because I love Interlude Man. Talked about it just recently. It's got that smoke. It almost reminds me of being, like, I imagine what it would be like being in an opium tent with just smoke everywhere in this small enclosed area. And it's got this patchouli and oud, and it's just classic amouage. And Interlude Woman is Let's see. Interlude Woman. Here we go. 2012. It was done by Karine Vinchon Spanner again. Spicy, woody, bergamot, grapefruit, ginger, tagetes, which I think is also known as marigold, jasmine, apopanax, orange blossom, rose absolute, everlasting flower, which is immortelle, frankincense, amber, animalic notes, benzoin, oak moss, leather, musk, oud, sandalwood, tonka bean, and vanilla. Big note listing. All right, can't wait to try these. So 4 more, and then we'll get into the Meleg. So this is Material. This is one of their newer releases. This is the first, I think, time that they went to the unisex, because Amouage always did a fragrance for men and a fragrance for women. So Material is the first fragrance, along with Boundless, that they kind of got away from that women versus masculine fragrance category, and they just went completely unisex. Material was done by Cecile Zerokian, and it is elemi resin, patchouli, bourbon vanilla absolute, benzoin, gaiac wood, oud, osmanthus absolute, frankincense resins, labdanum absolute, and tonka bean absolute. And so it's supposed to be kind of this, vanilla, take on a vanilla, if you will. So we'll see what Material's like. And then we've got Memoir Woman, and I love Memoir Man. Psychedelic, Dr. Seuss, green forest in a bottle. Let's see what Memoir Woman is all about. 2010, it was a Dorothy Pio and Danielle Morial creation. Spicy Oriental with absinthe. This could have made my boozy fragrances list. fenugreek, cardamom, mandarin orange, pink pepper, clove, woods, jasmine, pepper, rose, frankincense, white blossoms, castoreum, oak moss, labdanum, leather, musk, and styrax. Very interesting. I love Memoir Man, so I can't wait to smell what the woman smells like. 2 more. We've got Dia Woman. So Dia Woman. Oh, I bet that's going to be amazing. I think Dia Woman is a Bertrand Duchaufour, if I'm not mistaken. Dia Woman, Eau de Parfum. No, it's a Jean-Claude Elena. It's a Jean-Claude Elena. Bertrand Duchaufour did Dia Man, that's right. Jean-Claude Elena did Dia Woman. I forgot Jean-Claude Elena did a Amouage. This is right before he became the in-house perfumer at Hermes. So this is a floral powdery fragrance. Cyclamen, bergamot, tarragon. I love tarragon. Fig, I love sage. Violet leaf, orris root, orange blossom, peony. It does have peony in it, just like Dia Man. Peach blossom, rose, gaiac wood, heliotrope, sandalwood, vanilla, frankincense, white musk, and cedar. Sounds amazing. Sounds absolutely stunning. And finally, we have Ciel Woman. I love Ciel Man. Ciel Woman is 2003. This came out 1 year after Dia. It's a floral fresh fragrance. I don't know who the perfumer is. Cyclamen, gardenia, violet leaf, jasmine, peach blossom, rose, water lilies, amber, musk, sandalwood, frankincense, and cedarwood. Very interesting. I thought Ciel was discontinued, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. So, amazing Amouage selection. Thank you very much, Allie. I very much appreciate it. It's very, very kind of you. This gives me so many... Imagine just all the videos, just getting to know these little samples, and then which ones I'm going to buy. And so, yes, I've got my work cut out for me. Let me put these here so I don't lose them, because I will lose them. I'll also drop them and break them, so I got to be very careful. Okay, so to those of you who stuck around, thank you. Sorry for the 30-minute, delay on talking about Meleg's birch tar and Russian leather. So let's hop right into it. So first of all, let me read you a little blurb about Meleg Perfumes and who he is and basically how he describes himself, okay? So I'm going to read a little blurb from my mission and what he says his scents are like. So it says, I am determined to create the most beautiful perfumes in the world. That's his mission statement. And there's an interview on his website from Monte Cristo magazine, and it says, can a self-taught perfumer create credible scents? And he basically has a couple interesting quotes in here. Number one, he says, there is no separation between myself and the perfumes. Each has a story behind it, and they're kind of like diary entries. And he says, unlike what he calls the watercolor fragrances that make up much of the market today, Meleg scents are potent, resinous, bold, and reminiscent of vintage French perfumery. And he says that he was never officially trained as a perfumer, and he was never officially trained as a chemist. So he is truly a self-taught perfumer, okay? And he does use real animal products. So for the record, he says, while animal musk, and particularly civet and deer, are highly contentious when it comes to animal welfare, Meleg insists that his are ethically sourced, okay? So just FYI. And so I've done a video on a Meleg scent before. I have a playlist actually up already on Meleg where you can go check out the video that I did previously. I did an early impression on a sample. So again, this sample was sent to me by Nissan, And again, I feel like I should say thank you since it's been now 30 minutes before I previously said thank you. So let's talk about the scent. So let me kind of give you my, the way that it wears on my skin, okay? And I think this scent might surprise a little bit of people if they have experience with Russian leather perfumes. And if you're interested to learn what a Russian leather fragrance is, I actually have an entire video titled Spanish leather versus Russian leather versus modern leathers. You can go check that out, and we go through the whole history of it, what Spanish leathers are, what Russian leathers are, you know, what modern leathers are that use a lot of suede notes and stuff like that. Excuse me. And so in a nutshell, Russian leather fragrances kind of took off with the advent, and many leather scents took off with the advent of IBQ, isobutylquinoline. And what ended up happening is in the 1800s, 1900s, the Russian army kind of got a little bit of a reputation for using the best leather scents, and they used to cure it in all different strange ways. They used seal fat, they urinated on it, all kind of weird methods to cure their leather, but they became known as having the best leather in the world. And their leather boots for their army, for example, would last forever, and it became known kind of throughout the world as rumors flew. And you'll notice that all of the big French houses put out their own version of what they called Russian leather, or Cuir de Russie. So for example, this is one of my favorites. This is a very rare, we think it's a 1960s bottle, but we don't know, of Chanel Cuir de Russie. And it's an eau de cologne, which they obviously don't make these anymore. If you look on the back, you can actually see 75 proof, and it's got the Chanel seal on the bottom. Just very cool piece. This came from Italy. Italy's a hotbed of vintage perfume, and this is just unbelievable. I mean, it's got that Chanel floral touch. It's got the civet. It's got the Chanel aldehydic, accord that they're so known for. And then I also have an 80s version. I didn't grab it for the video, but I have an 80s version, which I actually prefer to this one. The 80s version is much more straight to the point, straight leathery, straight animalic. Kind of cuts out some of that vintage Chanel number 5, number 22 floral bit that you will sense in the Cuir de Russie Eau de Cologne. I prefer the Eau de Toilette, which is also discontinued. Now they only make it in the Eau de Parfum. It's in the less exclusives range. But there's other Russian leathers that you can buy if you don't want to spend big money or hunt down vintage bottles. For example, there's a brand called Del Oro Russian leather. And I got this on Mercari for less than 20 bucks, this entire thing. I mean, it was like part of a estate sale or something. The guy was just dumping it, and it looks a little bit beat up, but the smell is perfect. I mean, it's unrivaled. Leather, birch. They also did a Russian leather 2, which I got right here. And both of these are absolutely stunners as far as Russian leather scents go. And of course, you could go to the grandparents, the grandfather of Russian leathers, and that's Farina Kolnish Yukten. And this is an amazing Russian leather as well. Just so beautiful. So Russian leather uses a lot of birch. Birch was one of the ingredients used to cure the leather. And birch sometimes gives off this almost like winter green vibe, if you will. But it's a very smoky take on a leather perfume. And very few people do Russian leathers anymore, although you can still find some that are more modernized. Like, for example, Roja has a Russian leather called Great Britain. That's very expensive. It's 750 pounds retail, which is like $1,000. But that's actually cut in half from what it was. They cut the price on it recently. So there are some modern Russian leathers. And so going in, I just give you that background because going into the perfume, that's what I expected. I expected something along the lines of Del Oro Russian leather or Chanel Cuir de Russie. I have some experience in the Russian leather space. And the first minute, to my nose, I was shocked by one thing. And, well, a couple things, but one main thing. And that's how powdery the fragrance began. It began very powdery on my skin, and it began very vanillic, extremely vanillic. And it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting much more birch, much more leather, much stronger. I mean, even some of the birch used in Spanish leather fragrances, which again, if you want to learn some of the differences, go watch my video on the different types of leather. This is a Spanish leather, which literally means skin of Spain. And oh my God, I really need a bottle of this stuff. Santa Maria Novella Peau d'Espagne, one of the best leathers I've ever come across. This is a reference use of how to use birch in a leather perfume. It's a reference. I mean, I don't think I've smelled a better birch leather combination to combine into what this is. So I kind of have an idea of what I was expecting when I saw the name birch tar in Russian leather. Now, of course, after my first shock of this powdery, vanillic-like smell, you will get the birch. The birch is there. I'm not saying that the birch is missing or anything like that. However, excuse me, if you come to expect, this DNA, this Russian leather DNA, and everyone has their own takes, everyone has their own way of building these Russian leather scents. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you stay within the framework, right? And the Meleg perfume does stay within the framework, but I feel like just barely. He's doing his own thing so much so that it almost feels like he's coloring outside the lines, if that makes sense, okay? So you get this very powdery, thick vanilla is what you end up smelling. Excuse me. With the birch tar that slowly starts to rise. Very slowly, as the hours go by, you're going to notice more and more of the tar begin to rise, and you'll notice kind of that vanilla, powdery vanilla feel take a back seat, but it's unmistakable. That powdery vanilla is probably the shock of this fragrance for me. I was not expecting that at all. And if I didn't know better, okay, if I just closed my eyes and sniffed this and I had no idea what the name was, I was completely blindfolded, right? And you said, hey, Ramsey, this is a Meleg fragrance, and it is, I just want you to smell it and just tell me what you think. I would bring up, immediately, I would bring up two perfumes. Two. Can you guess what they are without me saying them? Now that I've kind of described the scent a little bit, there's two fragrances that this, I think, kind of falls into. Number one is Guerlain's Shalimar. Now, this is one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I have 4 bottles of this stuff. I'm in love with Shalimar. I've talked about it on the channel so much. I think it's one of the best Oriental fragrances ever created. The story, the branding, it's just such a posh fragrance, okay? I love Shalimar. I'm in love with Shalimar. And then, but that was 1925 that came out. In 2020, Chanel put this out. And it's also labeled as a smoky, resinous fragrance. And so is Birch Tar and Russian Leather, by the way, labeled as a smoky, resinous fragrance. And the Chanel is called Le Lion. Now, I think that smelling birch tar and Russian leather, if you said, Ramsey, you get to pick one fragrance in your entire Rolodex that you've smelled, which you think smells the closest to birch tar and Russian leather, it would be Le Lion. This would be my number one comparison. If you said, pick one that smells like it. The difference is, there is something about Chanel that gives it this, what I call the Chanel sparkle, okay? The Cuir de Russie has it. I've actually yet to smell a Chanel that does not have it. Every single Chanel I've smelled, outside of the real designer stuff, like if you took out, the real heavy designer Chanels, the Bleu de Chanels and stuff like that, take those out. But all of the less exclusive Chanels or the vintage Chanels that I've smelled, they all have that Chanel sparkle, is what I like to call it. And there's something extremely elegant about all Chanels. Whenever you wear a Chanel, you're expecting to wear just something that reeks of regal elegance to me. And, you know, you get that even in Le Lion. Even though this, I think, goes away a bit from the Chanel DNA, if you will, they still managed to create it in a way where I think this is the best labdanum fragrance I've ever smelled. Like, as far as labdanum heavy scents, I think this is the best one. And labdanum can sometimes come across as smelling very resinous and smelling very leathery. Okay, so it has this leathery, resinous quality to it. And so while Shalimar is kind of mostly a take on dirty vanilla with bergamot, and there's a lot of bergamot in here, like 30% bergamot. Le Lion is a labdanum heavy scent with bergamot and a little bit of vanilla. See the difference? Le Lion is mostly labdanum. Shalimar is what I would consider mostly dirty vanilla with a little bit of labdanum and other things, castoreum and stuff like that. But as far as like really smelling like another fragrance, Le Lion is instantly what kind of comes to mind. But Le Lion has this Chanel sparkle to it. There is something about Meleg, birch tar, and leather that kind of puts me off. And I love animalics. I'm a huge animalic lover. You guys know that. Anything. Throw any animalic my way, I love it. Civet, castoreum, hyrax, you name it. I pretty much love it. Ambergris. But there is something here that's a little bit off-putting. And I can't put my finger on it through this, even though I'm wearing it as my scent of the day. And I'm just engulfed in the stuff. There's nothing, I can't put my finger on exactly what it is. Whether the vanilla is just turned up a bit much, whether it's a little bit too sweet, which I think it is. I think it is a little bit too sweet for what it is. That vanilla, you know, and there is castoreum in here. So here, let's go through the note listing. This is according to Parfumo. Birch tar, birch, cedarwood, benzoin, vanilla absolute, Peru balsam, tobacco absolute, and castoreum. Okay, that's the note listing. And so, now one thing I should mention, interestingly enough, now that we're basically here talking about it, there is one thing that I should mention, because whenever if you go to Parfumo, which is the site that I like to use, and you type in Meleg, birch tar, and Russian leather, boom, it pops up. But if you go to Meleg's actual website and you type in birch tar, it's not birch tar and Russian leather that pops up. It's birch tar leather that pops up. So I'm thinking it's the same fragrance, but I honestly don't know. And the reason I don't know is because the note listing on the website that he lists is actually different from Parfumo's note listing. So I'm kind of, I think it's the same thing, because I don't think it's a completely different fragrance. But let me read you what the Meleg website actually says. So he says, I love vintage perfumery. Thus, I have included a leather perfume in my collection. This perfume includes two controversial, true to the period natural materials, castoreum, which he puts in quotations, beaver musk, and birch tar absolute. I get my castoreum from Canadian trappers that would have otherwise thrown their castoreum away. Please understand, no beaver is ever killed for castoreum. Beavers are trapped for their furs. I just collect the leftovers. The second material, birch tar, gives this vintage leather perfume its powerful smoky notes, and we'll get to that in a second. So it says the middle notes, they list jasmine absolute from southern India and rose absolute from Morocco. Now, on Parfumo, there's no rose absolute, there's no jasmine absolute listed at all. So the difference in the note listings has me questioning, was there a reformulation? Is there differences? I don't know. That's something I would love to ask him one day. If we can bring him on the channel, that would be great. But it is, the base notes then say castoreum, beaver musk, birch tar absolute from Canada, vanilla bean tincture from Madagascar, and vintage musk ketone from Germany. Now, there is a little bit of a musky feel to the dry down, so I can completely see that. However, the vanilla bean tincture is listed on Parfumo as vanilla absolute, so I'm guessing it could very much be the same thing. Usually absolutes are a little heavier in smell, and So the smokiness, if we go back to that, what comes to mind when I think of this fragrance, here's my mental image of what I think of when I imagine this fragrance. Um, so there are a lot of comments that mention that they get this dirty, smoky, black smoke dry down. And you know, for me, I kind of see what they're saying. For me, it's black coal. That's kind of what I see. I see this black coal dry down because um, the smoke reminds me of, like, here's the thought. Imagine that you are reading a Charles Dickens novel from hundreds of years ago in London, Great Britain, right? And remember they used to have those kids that were chimney sweepers? They would go into the chimneys and sweep out all the soot, and they would just emerge just covered in soot and black. That's kind of the feel that the smoke in the dry down ends up feeling like. However, interestingly enough, what really makes this fragrance tough for me to grasp is the fact that they never really they never really that vanilla tincture or absolute or whatever you want to call it, it never goes away. It starts there, and I was thinking, okay, this is just kind of the opening to get people who maybe otherwise would be turned off from a more animalic opening to like draw them in, right? But unfortunately for me, for someone like me who would much prefer something like Santa Maria Novella Peau d'Espagne with the way the Birch is used over the Meleg, unfortunately for me, that vanilla never goes away. It just lingers and lingers and lingers. And so while I like the smoke, I like the Birch, you know, I like the tobacco absolute feel that's listed. There is a little bit of a tobacco feel, but it almost feels like the way the tobacco is used in something like Ego East. You know, if you smell Ego East, sandalwood is the main bit in Ego East. That's the focus, right? And tobacco is kind of secondary. Here it's kind of the same thing. Tobacco is a secondary note, and you know, the Birch and the vanilla are kind of the main. The Birch tar and the vanilla are the main notes to me. So it's smoky, it's resinous. Think of the little boy in the Charles Dickens novels cleaning out the chimneys. But it's just the fact that I kept waiting for that heavy leather to come through. I kept waiting for the vanilla to finally die down and give way, and it doesn't. It just continues to feel very vanillic all the way through the dry down, which if you like that, you know, this can be a pure love for you. This might be your favorite Birch tar / Russian leather fragrance. But for me, I kept hoping for it to go more towards the Russian leather take of Del Oro's Russian leather, or, you know, like I mentioned, Santa Maria Novella's Peau d'Espagne, which I know is not a Russian leather, but there's a heavy birch element there. I was kind of hoping to see it go more in that category, and it never did, unfortunately. So I enjoyed wearing it today. I'll probably kill off the rest of this before the day's out. And but this is kind of my take. We'll keep it under an hour. I hope to have Matthew Meleg on the channel one day soon. Excuse me, that would be amazing. I'd love to ask him some of these questions and have him talk about his materials and all that good stuff. But for me, this is a try, a like, but a pass. I would not go for a bottle of this. But you can tell the ingredients are indie quality. You know, it feels like you're smelling something indie. It doesn't feel like you're smelling mass-produced materials. So, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have experience with Meleg's Russian leather, do let me know. Birch tar and Russian leather, do let me know. If you have experience with Meleg's in general, do let me know. And to everyone who sent me stuff today, Daver, Peter from Fragrance View and his Peter's brand Centauri Fragrances, and Daver and Allie, thank you very much. I very much appreciate you guys' kindness and consideration and contribution. You will forever be a friend of the channel. Thank you very much, everybody. See you next time. Bye now.